The more great dentists are embracing new technologies, the more we can influence the industry to develop what makes sense, because uh, it's very easy to create a lecture about digital dentistry that looks amazing. And it's very hard to cut through the bullshit, to cut through the frou-frou and the beautiful slides. And this is what you guys do so well because of this reputation of talking about what works, talking about what makes sense. And John always had that style that there's no room for show off. There's no room for bullshit. We talk about what matters. We talk about what works. So 3, 2, 1, and we are back with our coffee break with Coachman, where I interview some of the most brilliant minds that I know in our beautiful profession of dentistry. And today, one more episode where we're going to talk a little bit more about this amazing course that is coming up in March in Miami, where the DSD team will join forces with the Kois team. And of course, we have a very, very, very special guest here with us today, Dr. Dean Kois, that is not only a friend, but an amazing dentist. And of course, as you can see by the name, a key player in the Kois team, the son of John Kois. And I have some very interesting questions that I want to ask Dean. But before anything, Dean, thanks for sharing your precious time with us. And I'm really looking forward to sharing the stage with you in Miami on this very, very special event, unique opportunity to see John Kois outside the Kois Center. I know that he doesn't do that much nowadays. So it's for me, it's going to be just an honor to be with the Kois family on stage. I know we briefly shared the stage before at the Kois Center, but it's going to be amazing to be together there. So first of all, your initial introduction, your initial hello to our community, and I can jump into the questions right after.
Thank you for having me, Christian, and we're excited to share the stage with you in Miami. I think, to see you two work together and share two different sides of the coin, as well as really show how collaboration between clinicians, clinician and laboratory, as well as to kind of get an inside track to how probably both sides of the coin are thinking, what it takes to be able to make great decisions and hopefully just enhance outcomes. That's the goal of the course, really, for everyone that's going to attend.
I love the fact that your father really reinforced the fact that even though the course is going to be all about technologies and how technologies are changing dentistry, John Kois was very clear to make the title of the course emphasize the outcome, not the tools. It's all about the outcomes, right? And you guys been teaching that since ever. And I tell everybody all over the world that if you want to become a great dentist, you need to do the Kois Center courses. You need to make this program. It's almost like a continuation, a post-grad program. You guys should become a post-grad mandatory program. That would be amazing. For in a certain period, I remember we at DSD, we thought about making mandatory to do the Kois course to get the DSD certification. That's how much we admire and appreciate what you guys do with the dentists that go through your programs. But before I ask more about what you specifically will share with us in this program, I want to ask you a question that I always wanted to ask you. What it is to be John Kois' son, right? And there's probably amazing side to it, but there's probably maybe a downside to it.
We open this with the big question.
Yes, let's start with the big question. Tell me.
Well, I mean, hey, what's it like to work with John Kois? Terrifying. You know, I wanted to be a dentist my whole life. I got great exposure to the profession, the lifestyle. It was appealing. So I think even my dad tells the story at about age 7. I said, "Hey, Dad, I want to be a dentist, but I only want to do it if I could be better than you." We're really competitive. And you know what his response actually was? You can, you will. And first thing I'll say is my dad, he's actually a great dad. So pull out all the dentistry. We have
That's
a
beautiful.
wonderful relationship. And the dentistry part, I'll tell you another funny story, is
Uh,
right before I went to my residency for pros,
yeah.
I came home and my dad said, "Hey, let's get you ready for the program. Let's start prepping teeth." So in typical, you know, John Kois fashion, we
Uh,
were here at the center for about 8 hours,
wow.
prepping teeth all day long. And so at the end of the day, I said to my dad, "What do you think?" And he looked me right in the eyes and he said, "Not good enough." That moment, I knew dentistry was not genetic.
Yeah.
So the reality of being the son is this: it
Uh-huh.
takes a lot of time to acquire the knowledge,
Uh-huh.
implement the knowledge, and then put the time in to be
Mm,
great.
mm,
And so
mm,
now we have a really great relationship. But my dad was very patient. And the
mm.
reality is, there's just no shortcuts to getting
Uh-huh.
all the way to
Uh-huh.
the top. You got to
Yeah.
put your time in. You got to study, got
Uh,
to do right by people. You got to do
yeah.
all that at the same time.
Uh-huh.
And then all the good things in dentistry
Uh,
happen. So for
and,
me, there doesn't feel like a lot of pressure
uh-huh.
because I know there's a lot of time that's needed to
Yeah.
develop.
That's because you are a great dentist, but I can understand the pressure when you said it's terrifying to just think about working with Kois. And I can say, first time he invited me to lecture at the center, I was already lecturing all over, and I felt terrified as well. People ask me, "Do you still get nervous when you lecture?" I say, "When I'm lecturing beside Kois, yeah, I feel a little nervous. You know, it is terrifying to be beside one of the best teachers we saw in action in our generation, right?"
But the reality is that there's just an expectation. I think we're going to get into collaboration,
Mm-hmm.
but there's just an
Mm-hmm.
expectation that you're responsible for a lot of information. So if you're
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
not bringing something to the table,
Yeah.
you're a little bit of a liability.
John is very kind and very generous. He's a natural teacher. And because of that, regardless of how good you are and in which level you are, he's always going to be nice and try to make you better. Now, one thing is to become better, one thing is to become good enough to work beside him, because he holds quality at the high standard. So we need to give a lot of credits to you, because um, not only he works with you because you are his son, but I know that he loves working with you because you became an amazing professional, right? It's something to be admired. It's not genetic. You need to work hard.
Oh, there's another reality. You know, when you want to do the work that you teach, my dad teaches, if you're not performing at a high level, this profession's not fun. It'll beat you
Yeah,
up, it'll
yeah.
it'll beat you down to a stump. So there's a commitment that you need to, get onto and proceed down that path, or you don't
Mhm.
reach the levels of enjoyment in this profession if you don't commit to that level of execution.
Dad has basically two major careers. As a clinician, he's still doing amazing dentistry himself. And as a teacher, as one of the best in the world, I believe for me, the number one teacher I saw in action. Um, how is how is this combination for you between being a clinician and being a teacher? How do you combine those two things?
I still have, well, balance is always a relative term. I'm
Uh-huh.
100% focused on what I'm doing at the time. I still have a large practice, but I'm growing the teaching component. But I feel like teaching is a forever career.
Uh-huh.
just to be able to
Yes.
share. It's enriching, but I enjoy both. So right now, I would say I'm almost half and half. The majority of my teaching happens later in the week and on the weekends.
So you are part of the team there. You're giving some lectures and courses in the Kois program, correct? And also lecturing outside conferences and congresses.
Yes,
It's already 50-50. How much what do you enjoy the most, the clinical work or the lecturing work?
I love the clinical dentistry. It's every, a lot of times the frustrating thing is everything but the clinical dentistry. I'm passionate. I've put so much time into it and it's just rewarding. And the
Mm-hmm.
teaching feels the same. I love sharing knowledge. I love elevating people and making them successful in their careers as
Mm-hmm.
well. So right now
Mm-hmm.
I feel the joy in both. So and I think as the path sort of goes its way, I think how you choose develops on its own in its own
Mm-hmm.
timing.
When it comes to enjoying working together with your father, do you guys have more fun when you're doing clinical work together or more fun when you're doing lecturing together?
For sure, lecturing, because that's the other piece. At the chair, we have a great relationship, but at the chair, there's no jokey. It is
Yeah,
very serious at the chair,
of course.
and we're
Uh-huh.
both focused on outcomes and we know our roles. We have fun, being able to participate together, but teaching is really rewarding because I think when you peel back the curtain with my dad with teaching and you see what it takes to participate in education at this level, it's
Yep.
totally inspiring. When you think about him lecturing all the hours,
Yes.
it's all the additional hours
Yes.
to prepare and, hey, Dean, this
Oh
article
yeah.
just came out. Let's get it in the program today. And to see what it takes, kind of a master class in
Uh-huh.
what he does, that part is really inspiring.
Some people forget the amount of preparation to give a one full day great course, right? The amount of work before that. With the type of lecture that you guys do that is deeply science based and based on the foundation and also based on all the new articles that are coming out, the amount of stuff that you guys read, filter, digest, curate, um, to give just what really matters, right, to the students. So you're basically doing the hard work to identify everything that is out there, what matters and what doesn't matter, and then bringing in a condensed, summarized way. And then people hear that little summary of 10 minutes and don't realize the amount of work that came to get to those 10 minutes.
That actually was the goal of the center, what you were mentioning about a postdoctoral residency. It's to
Mm-hmm.
take a grad program and distill it down into those chunks that are really important, that really shape why you
Mm-hmm.
do what you do and what
Uh-huh.
could really make a difference in your outcomes. And that's
Mm-hmm.
that's what my dad's a specialist of. I
Yes.
think
Yep.
taking information, processing it, compartmentalizing it, creating a stepwise approach that makes the
Yep.
complex more simple.
I usually name the few professors, teachers like your father as the thought organizers. There are many speakers out there. There are many clinicians showing off beautiful cases, and there are many teachers that are not good teachers. And then you have the few that can really take a lot of information and organize the information, condense the information, create recipes out of the information, and give you in a silver platter for you to just take home and use that information, right? So it's really a process of organizing the overwhelming amount of information and structuring into a recipe where people can say, okay, 1, 2, 3, ABC, I understand this, I can do this, right?
Just teaching you how to think with the science-backed principles, and then you have the power to make all those decisions on your own rather
Mm-hmm.
than just trying to fit decisions into a case you
Mm-hmm.
saw, which really
Mm-hmm.
never really works once you get back home on Monday after a course.
Making it's another thing that I learned with you guys, the way you guys teach, most teachers or speakers, they tell you their decision. They share their decision with you. Uh, you guys are helping people make their own decisions right? So you're going back into the decision-making process and helping people understand the options, the pros and cons, and what are the things that you need to consider to choose A, B, or C, right? And that is the beauty of real education.
I think that part of it, that part's timeless, right?
Yeah.
Is knowing that science and being able to implement those decisions. And then, like you had mentioned, whether you level up with technology, you still
Mhm.
need that backbone to know what's right and what's
Mhm.
wrong,
Uh-huh.
what looks good and what doesn't.
And you mentioned technology, and I want to shift a little bit towards that because it's going to bring us into the topic of the course that we're going to give together. Because some close friends of mine said, "But Christian, you are organizing a course on dental technologies with John Kois. John Kois is one of the best teachers, but is he into digital?" So people have that sometimes that perception, or they don't understand how much ahead of the curve you guys are also in terms of technology, even though you guys are famous for the foundation of dentistry, the science behind, all the traditional, conventional clinical procedures that you need to master, treatment planning and diagnosis, beyond technologies. But you guys have been into a journey, and this is something that I always admired in John, is that the power to reinvent himself, the power to always be open, the beginner's mind, right? And the people that he brings around himself to continue to learn, his curiosity. you know every time I'm around him, he's curious. He wants to see what is next. So many people don't understand how much you guys know about digital technology. And by the way, I believe that you guys are one of the best centers to learn about technology. So this course is not about me, digital smile design, bringing the technology, and you guys bringing the traditional fundamentals. It's not at all like that. It's you guys showing how much times, even behind the scenes, you guys been studying technology, understanding technology, using technology, and becoming the Koi Center today is a place like no other to understand digital dentistry as well.
I totally agree. I think also with the addition of Marta and the level of science that she's putting out on behalf of the center. My dad might be older in terms of dental years,
Mm-hmm.
but he's technology savvy to no end. The piece that he always, the perspective is with that backbone and that foundation. Where we've really focused is we have all those technologies, jaw tracking. You're going to see all of that in Miami,
Mm-hmm.
but now we're bringing the science of how does that relate to analog, how to use it, when to use it, how
Mm-hmm.
much of a difference does it make,
Mm-hmm.
challenging timing on implementation, because we're
Mm-hmm.
big also on what kind of staff do you have? What
Yeah.
kind of support? Where does
Mm-hmm.
this technology make sense? And the reality is just to expose, there are a lot of opportunities to get involved in digital. You don't need
Mm-hmm.
all of it at one time. I think just showing how that workflow can work
Mm-hmm.
at the highest level and then
Yeah.
producing the science,
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
advancing the profession. And
Yeah.
whether or not you use it or not, I do think at some point, everybody's responsible for this
Mm-hmm.
knowledge,
Yeah.
what's out there
Yeah.
and what we can do. Otherwise, you just get left behind. It's
Yes.
really amazing how fast
Yeah.
this profession is moving.
It's crazy, crazy, crazy. And the more great dentists are embracing new technologies, the more we can influence the industry to develop what makes sense. Because uh, it's very easy to create a lecture about digital dentistry that looks amazing. And it's very hard to cut through the bullshit, to cut through the frou-frou and the beautiful slides. And this is what you guys do so well because of this reputation of talking about what works, talking about what makes sense. And John always had that style that there's no room for show off, there's no room for bullshit. We talk about what matters, we talk about what works, And this is the perspective that for me, honestly, is the number one reason why I had this idea of putting this course together. That is exploring how much research you guys are doing and how much you've been getting all these technologies from all the companies. Every company gives their technologies to you guys. So you guys are testing everything, comparing, doing research, using science-based information to judge the technology, and then bringing back to people at this point in time. We're not going to talk about, of course, we can talk a little bit about trends and future, but it's mainly about today. What is mature enough that makes sense using today? Because most of the technology shown on stage still doesn't make sense many times, right? So what I'm dying to really watch you guys bring this information and say, I'm gonna play the moderator most of the course, more than a speaker. And I have a list of moments and questions that I want to ask you guys, about exactly that. You know, on this specific procedure, comparing with technology and without technology, does it make sense to use it? Is it good enough? Is it efficient enough? Right. So you guys will bring that perspective, right?
Yeah. Number one, the main thing with these companies too is they're good. We don't take any contributions to the center, no honorariums. We speak the truth of what we find. I
Yep.
think your comment is perfect. Is we're going to come hard in Miami about how we use these technologies, where they can make a difference. And I know your specialty too is the workflow, where they
Mhm.
fit in, how they fit in. When we start to turn the corner into improving an outcome, that starts to tip the scales of when you need to start to participate in the technology, or we're really close to adopting it. I think for you, when you moderate, when we go to Miami, you to go targeted with your questioning is going to
Yep.
pull out the best in what we've done with the research to just
Yep.
kind of get to the point and now or later, or how would you use it? And I think
Mm-hmm.
those are all fair game questions.
Yes, no, I'm really working on the questions, because we're gonna have, you know, you that you're leveraging all of the center to use all these technologies. We're gonna have Marta with probably the number one author on digital technologies in the world. She's gonna be sharing the stage with us. We're gonna have Vinicius Machado and Vicente Jimeno, that are, from my side, two of the guys that are most knowledgeable in digital dentistry that I know. And we're going to be making the tough questions and brainstorming. It's going to be like a
We're
live
ready.
roundtable, a live roundtable. So you're going to say something and say, I believe that this is ready. I believe this is good. This is not good. I'm going to ask why. The other guy is going to say, but I don't agree here. I agree there. I'm going to ask why. And we're going to hopefully get into combined consensus live on stage about how to leverage technology in all the key moments of rehabilitating the smile of a patient.
Yeah, I think a lot of times too in the literature, you can get lost with microns. You don't really root yourself in how you're going to live in that ecosystem and what it maybe requires or how you use it. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's the one main thing at the center is, like I said, I'm really cranking in practice. So we
Mm-hmm.
always go back to, does this make sense?
Yep.
Can you leverage this technology full speed?
Yep.
Or is this just a showcase?
Yeah. Yep.
All of that. And I
Yep.
think that's really, what you're a specialist at is really enhancing the value. Because I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you could easily bang off a few cases and a
Uh-huh.
few articles and say this
Yeah.
is amazing.
Uh-huh.
But I think when we really get into it and have all the experts, it's going to
Uh-huh.
be exciting to
Uh-huh.
to to get a standpoint of how everybody really feels about
Yeah.
some of the newer technologies.
That's important for people to understand, that when people think about the Kois name, they think about the education center. But you run a practice, a real practice that depends on patient satisfaction and depends on production. You cannot be using things that make no sense just to show off or just to create content for lectures. You need to succeed as a practice owner and you are succeeding as a practice owner. So from everything that the industry gives you guys, you probably have the technologies that are already part of your routine, and you probably have a lot of technology that is there sitting that is not part of your routine. And it's going to be beautiful to discuss what is part, what is not, and why.
That alone is going to just be an amazing, probably only day one.
No, it's gonna be fun, and I truly hope that we can, we have people coming from all over the world, and I'm putting a lot of energy into organizing these discussions because I don't know, I know that John is slowing down with his outside lectures outside the center. Don't know when I'm gonna have another chance to share a stage with him outside Seattle. So for me, this is not only an amazing learning experience, but is a personal historical moment for me as well.
I think what's important to understand too is that the Miami's not just a series of lectures. It's really this
Mhm.
point, counterpoint slash questioning to really bring out the
Yep.
value in what's being taught on the stage. And that's really where
Yep.
the difference is going to be with a meeting like this, because you could
Mhm.
do what you want and add value where you
Mhm.
think value is
Mhm.
needed.
It's gonna be a beautiful, live, organized, open discussion roundtable with some of the most brilliant minds that I personally know when it comes to high-end dentistry combined with high-end technology. I think that everybody attending will see basically, and I know it's an ambitious phrase, but everybody that is going to join us there will see how the best possible dentistry should look like on the next 5 to 10 years. It's setting the stage for the next decade of what real, high quality, ethical, modern dentistry should look like. Dean, I don't want to take much more of your time. I really enjoyed this short conversation with you. I don't know if you have a final message that you want to share with everybody listening to us.
I was just going to share what my dad and I were going to present in Miami that we've not presented before. It's something we're building brand new. It's about collaboration.
Uh-huh.
And, typically when you see on the stage where you have let's say, a collaboration between a restorative dentist and a periodontist, it's you go, I go, you
Yeah.
go, I go. And what we
Yeah.
really want to do is to really show what it takes to properly collaborate and show what goes on behind the scenes. Because we kind of came up with this message, which is, are you looking to enhance outcomes, truly outsourcing work from your practice? You're one
Mhm.
that just says implant number 19, maybe you're part of the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And we're going to go through a whole, we're going to build a whole piece out of what your responsibilities are,
Mhm.
what the specialist responsibilities are,
That's
and
amazing.
all the backstory and how
Mhm.
both parties come together to truly, because when you're
Mhm.
outsourcing work or truly collaborating, you're trying to bring
Mhm.
in expertise to enhance outcomes.
Mhm.
So what's
Yep.
your role? What's their role? And it's just a lot that I think has never really been discussed about
Uh-huh.
what both responsibilities are. And we want to
Mhm.
flush that out to
Mhm.
hopefully improve relationships and improve outcomes.
You nailed it. You touch a point that for me is the key of a lecture about modern dentistry that I would want to watch. Most of the people talking about digital dentistry and new technologies, they focus on how technology can help them perform that procedure themselves better. And very few talk about how technology can improve collaboration. And I love the fact that you said that because all my lectures about technology are much more focused on the power of collaboration, regardless if you're going to use technology to actually perform the procedure afterwards. How can you use technology to improve communication, explore collective intelligence, create more effective collaboration to make better decisions as a team? because still today, even though teachers like your dad have been teaching interdisciplinary care for decades, most dentists are still just sending patients to each other and sharing poor amount of information and not really building decisions together, right? And the reason why we haven't done this properly is because it was too time consuming, and technology is fixing this problem. And if you leverage technology not only on the execution, but you leverage technology on the collaboration, that's where the revolution of dentistry will happen, in my humble opinion, on the next few years.
I totally agree. I just think it's just important to really just pull the covers back about what the responsibilities are on both sides. And when you see amazing outcomes, it's not by accident. There's an
Yeah.
incredible amount of knowledge being communicated. There's an
Hmm.
incredible amount of talent that's being displayed. But I
Hmm.
think it's important to share that journey, share the style.
Yeah.
We're also gonna bring in a piece of mentor mentee, finding people that can help lead you, show you the way. And I think it'll also be nice for more seasoned clinicians that are coming, about them giving back, or as that role switches. There are times too in dentistry
Amazing.
where my dad's using my energy. Now
Hmm.
I'm mentoring him and we're pushing each other. And it's just a really exciting way to
Hmm.
live in dentistry, because I think it's
Hmm.
important to create your own ecosystem and have a great time and build
Hmm.
what you love to do,
Yeah.
independent of even what sometimes others are doing. But
Uh-huh.
it's the democracy of you. And
Yeah.
so for me, mentoring and mentee relationships has been really critical.
That is super cool as well. I never thought about it from this perspective, but you are totally right. If technology will create the revolution in terms of collective intelligence and collaborative work, of course, that you're going to empower the mentor mentee relationship through technology. That's so obvious, and so powerful to leverage. And oh my God, this is going to be another. Thanks for mentioning it, because I'm going to add on my list. We're going to have to explore this, because this is another amazing topic that makes the exploration of technology so powerful.
I mean, I
Uh,
would go as far as to say, I obviously in my case wouldn't be where I'm at today without having a great mentor. I mean, even
100%.
someone to expose you to the higher levels. You don't, you're in a tiny space by yourself usually. You're
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
exposed to the world of dentistry. So getting exposure young and knowing where dentistry can go for you,
Uh-huh.
just at the
Uh-huh.
simplest level, and like let alone, like you said, the
Yeah.
technology and where it's
Yeah.
ultimately going to go, and
Mm.
technology is going to be the vehicle.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
but I think that's what we're excited to share.
Hmm.
In
Hmm.
our humble opinion, obviously our relationship's a little bit different,
Hmm.
but I think there's a foundation in the mentor mentee,
100%.
and
100%.
you're participating on both sides.
It's almost like a recipe to empower this relationship, right?
Oh, yes,
Almost like a recipe. So if you and the right mentor is the shortcut for success. I always say that. And how can you use these new tools to empower this relationship, basically empowering the shortcut for success, right?
I totally agree with that.
Perfect, perfect. That's so exciting. I'm really looking forward. This is gonna happen in March in Miami, where the Kois Center team will join forces with the DSD team, and we're gonna be sharing the stage in Miami. Of course, an amazing place to be as well. We're gonna have very cool socials. We're gonna have a lot of fun on stage and outside the stage. And once again, a unique opportunity for people to see the number one most amazing icon of dentistry in action in a generation lifetime. And that is John Kois. We're gonna be there, leveraging his experience, and moderating this interaction about modern dentistry, leveraging the experience of all the speakers that will be there. The team is unbelievable. Check the website. You can see the course link in the digitalsmiledesign.com website and also on the koiscenter.com website. You will find the link to the course. We really hope to see many of you with us there. And Dean, your final message to everybody.
Number one, thank you for having me. And I think number one, we're excited to see if you can come to Miami. Otherwise, I think we'd love to see you at the Kois Center.
Yes.
But in any event, for everyone, have a happy holiday, enjoy the time away with your family, and
Beautiful.
one day at a time. That's how it works. Long
That's
game.
it. That's it. Great lesson, my friend. Have a wonderful Christmas and New Year's Eve. I see you in 2025. We're going to have a lot of fun together.
We'll be ready. Look forward to seeing you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.